Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Real Estate World Podcast. All right, we are live. Boy, we've had some trouble the past few days with going live on Facebook. I apologize. We are all in this this mess together, and apparently, well, I'm trying to look at the Facebook page right now and see if I'm actually live. We're gonna go with yes, and we hope that we are broadcasting. We hope that the message is getting out, and I hope that that they haven't shut us down yet. So anyway, this has been a bizarre few weeks, I'm sure, for everyone. You know, I'm Scot Pekarek. This is the Real Estate World Podcast, and we are reporting live here on Facebook today, as we have been trying to do for the past 2 weeks, from the bunker in flyover country in lovely Minnetonka, Minnesota. And I'm telling you, this is really an unprecedented time. I think a lot of folks are still a little dazed as to, you know, what's going on. I know my moment came last week, or, you know, about 5, 6, 7 days ago, where I just was like, what the hell is going on? I just didn't feel like myself. I felt like I had been just transported into somebody else's body, some dystopian alternate Earth where I was no longer me, and everything had been turned on its head. And then I realized, well, that's just the new reality, and you're gonna have to get used to it, Mr. Scott, or not. And you not getting used to it and you not accepting it isn't going to change anything for anyone. So yeah, that's where we're at. I had a come to Jesus moment with myself, and one of the big things that has helped me, and I'm looking for something here behind me. Pardon me for a second. But one of the big things that helped me was getting back to this attitude of gratitude, if you will, starting to spend time in the morning writing down things that I am grateful for. Because I'm telling you, it's easy to get caught up in everything that's going on. Like, one thing everyone needs to do is probably shut the damn TV off. I don't mean watching the Tiger King, because that's awesome, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And my dear brother Jesse, and how he might actually have gone off the deep end. But anyway, we are, you know, this constant 24-hour news cycle with all of this negativity. I found myself getting sucked into, like, the local paper, the Star Tribune, has the coronavirus tracker, and how many tests, and how many people have tested positive, and how many people have died, how many people are hospitalized, how many people are in intensive care, how many people recovered, how many people got out of the hospital, how many beds are available. And I'm just like, does any of this even matter? Like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I, like, just so, like, we live in a society where we feel the need to track. Like, where's my phone? You know, I've got my 15 different fitness apps, MyFitnessPal. Well, I can put on MyFitnessPal. I can every morning track my weight, track my food, track the calories, track my macros, take a picture of myself, upload it, track my run every day that I go on, which I did this morning. I went for just over 5 miles. It was awesome. And I didn't have a lot of great energy, but we track, we record, and we monitor, and we are just so absolutely just wrapped up into this up to the second reporting on what the hell is going on. And I'm telling you, folks, it's not healthy. It's not healthy for me. Do what you want to do, but I unplugged a bit from the news cycle, if you will. And that doesn't mean I don't care about people. You know, I care. I do. I care a lot. I'm going to show you how much I care. I'm going to show you some unemployment numbers today I don't mean numbers of people unemployed, but what you can get for money if you are unemployed, because I want to help people. So I don't want to focus on the negativity surrounding the fact that people are laid off. I want to focus on how can I help people who are laid off get the information they need to put themselves in a better place. I want to focus on how do I get information on the programs, emergency loan programs, the paycheck protection program is the big one everyone's talking about. How do we get that information out to small business owners so that they can survive this and then they can hire people when we come out the other side? Remember, many of these businesses were compelled to close down, and we can argue for good reason. Like, we don't want to spread this virus, which is, it's a version of the flu. People are saying it's not the flu. It is. It is a version of the flu, a bad one, but it is. It is a coronavirus. That is what the flu virus is. It's corona. It's not a mistake. It's the COVID-19, and talk about the naming conventions there. But this is a very, we don't want people to think it's Ebola where you're bleeding through your eyeballs, right? But it's a very nasty version that we have to take seriously, right? Especially if you're high risk, but I don't want to focus on the negativity and the hysteria that's out there. What I want to focus on, and what I am focusing on, is getting information out that can help people get it to a better place. That might be financially, so they can pay their bills. Okay, helping people get unemployment, helping small business owners stay healthy. So God forbid when we get out of this and no one knows when that number is. I think that's the scariest part for folks. If we don't know where's the end, right? You can't see this enemy. You can't, it'd be one thing if it was a troll or an internet troll or a Tyrannosaurus Rex or a cheetah or a lion that we could go fight, but it's this invisible foe and we don't know when it's going to end. So I can't focus on that because there's nothing to focus on there. It's like focusing on your imagination, because we can't define the enemy very well. There's very little we can do to combat this enemy, because it's an invisible enemy and it's a scourge, right? It's a scourge. So do you focus on the scourge, or do you focus on how do I, one, develop a positive mindset and live in gratitude for what I do have? And again, this morning I wrote down 5 things. What am I grateful for? All right. And that sets the frame, folks. It just sets the frame for the day and makes it so much better, because you're focusing on the positive. And there's so much negative we can focus on. Like, I know there's someone who'll try to troll me and say, well, Scott, it's not that simple. Well, you know what? You're right. It's not that simple, because I took a week where I didn't do this and I was a miserable wretch. I was a miserable son of a bitch. And I was like, I didn't even want to be around me, because I wasn't setting the frame for me in the morning, which, if I set the frame for myself, a frame of gratitude and positivity, because there's actually 2 things that I do. I was lying to you. Make sure this is on. One is write down 5 things I'm grateful for. The second thing I do is I write down 5 positive accomplishments, things that I did that are positive. And you know what? One of them I wrote down is I went for a 5-mile run on a morning where I didn't feel like running. All right. I was like, well, maybe I'll get a mile. Got a mile. Started warming up. I walked for a little bit. I'm like, I feel good. I got the 2nd mile. I got the 3rd mile. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get 5 today. So I elongated my route and I got 5 miles. I felt great. So that's a positive thing. What else is positive? Well, I told my wife, kids, I loved them. Okay. That's positive. That counts. That's me setting the frame for them, and so on and so forth. So, I challenge you to do that every morning. Get a piece of paper. I have a notebook. I used to, just basically something like this. One page goes gratitude. The other page is positivity. Changes my life. Changes my life. Changes my day every day. Anyhow, so we're in a place where we can make some choices in terms of how we want to filter what's happening. You know, you find that in life that a great number of circumstances are what they are. The circumstances don't care about your emotions. You find that we tend to filter. Two people can look at the exact same event, and depending on your worldview, for one person, it could be something that's positive, and for someone else, it could be something that's very negative. So I would like to get into, and for those of you listening, I will try to use descriptive language because I did a here we go. Got to share my screen. So for those of you listening in that aren't watching, I did a little share screen. Here we go. What I'm doing is I'm showing, sharing my screen, which has, here we go. Let's see, Scott. The unemployment, here we go. Okay, so most people by now are familiar with the CARES Act, okay? The CARES Act was the government's attempt to stimulate the economy, and there was $1,200 for each adult who had filed a tax return in 2018 or 2019. And I don't, nobody's gotten that money yet, as far as I'm aware. The CARES Act also had money in for small businesses, and there's a lot of money in for travel industry, for airlines, yeah. But a couple of the key components that we're going to focus on is the money for small businesses and the money for the individual. So the $1,200 for an adult, every adult. If you have children, you get $500. Now, if you are somebody who is being claimed on your parents' tax return, you don't get the $1,200, but your parents should be getting the $500. So they owe you $500, I guess, or maybe they owe you $1,200. I don't know. You'll have to take that up with them. But there's lots of funds available in this CARES Act. One of the big things is the additions to the, for those of you that have been recently laid off, the unemployment monies that were added to the benefit. What happened in the CARES Act is they added $600 per week for the next up to 4 months, the next 4 months. So if you've been recently laid off, typically in Minnesota, we're going to talk about Minnesota, unemployment generally pays 1/2 of your salary, up to $740 per week. All right. So in my illustration, I have a few different scenarios laid out. Someone making $15 an hour, someone making $25 an hour, and someone making $35 an hour. If $15 an hour comes out to about $30,000 a year, 25 is about 50, and $35 an hour is like 70,000, give or take. I'm just generalizing here, but you're in the ballpark. So if you were laid off and you were making $15 an hour, your state unemployment benefit would be $300. You get $600 from the Fed for a total of $900, which that's per week. Okay, $900 per week. You actually could be getting a raise. Now, I know that there's all kinds of emotional trauma that comes with being laid off. I get all that. I'm not, we're not gonna address that. We're just strictly talking about the numbers today. I know a lot of people, they're like, I don't want to be unemployed. I get it. You would just soon be back at work. I get it. But here's an illustration of what the benefit is now. So if you're making $15 an hour, and again, I'm generalizing a little bit with the numbers, you could be eligible for about $900 with the state and federal for 4 months. That's $900 a week. All right. If you're making $25 an hour, you could be eligible for about $1,100 per week. Okay. That actually could be more than what you were taking home at your job when you figure the state and federal. And then of course the $35 an hour, if you're making, and that's about $70,000 a year annually. Now again, doesn't account for cost of healthcare and all that. I get that, but you could be looking at a benefit of $1,340 a week. So this is something, if you have recently been laid off, you're fearing a layoff, make sure you get out there and apply for your unemployment. This could have a huge impact, could be a game changer in your life. So hopefully, for those of you listening to the podcast, hopefully that was clear. I was sharing my screen. And those of you that were on Facebook, I hope that I hope this came across. So I'm checking for there are some questions here coming in. Anyway, so now if you're a small business owner, there's a lot of confusion on the CARES Act. Okay, with the SBA, the EIDL loan, and the what you call it, the Paycheck Protection Program. Now there is, for those of you that don't know, the EIDL loan was an emergency loan that was basically meant to provide up to $10,000 of economic relief to businesses that are in a pinch. And I'm telling you, folks, there's a lot of businesses where this is too late already. And I empathize. I have great empathy for those business owners and the employees that work for them, because this is not a not a very good time to be in your shoes. So I have great empathy for you. I wish there was more I could advise you to do. There are options with the Small Business Administration with bridge loans. But for some people, it may not make any sense to take out loans. The $10,000 may not be enough. I mean, we've gone through a rent cycle right now already, where many of these businesses were compelled to close down. They're not bringing any income, and they're looking at some really, really, really tough decisions right now. Many of which who have had to lay off their employees, can't pay rent, looking at maybe not having money to pay mortgages and stuff. The issue with a lot of these small business owners is they are not eligible for unemployment. And some of them may not qualify for the $1,200 available in the CARES Act. So some of these again, if you think I have a soft spot, if it sounds like I have a soft spot for small business owners, it's because I do, right? I have a soft spot for employees as well. All right. And why am I concerned about the business owners? Because contrary to what a lot of people may think, these people are living paycheck to paycheck as well. And we want to make sure that these people are financially solvent. So when they can open their businesses back up, they will be able to, right? They'll still be around. So why do I spend so much time talking about it? Because I want these people back, because they provide jobs. These people will provide jobs for people who want them when they can open back up. And again, for some of these small business owners, it's already too late, and that sucks. So there are, if you go to, and I'm going to try to share my screen here again, because I think this is useful. I apologize for the delay here. And okay, there's me. Coronavirus relief options. So there are, if you can see on my screen right now, I'll talk you through it. The Paycheck Protection Program. Basically, it's loan forgiveness for retaining employees. So basically, businesses who are looking who are faced with the choice of either holding on to their employees or letting them go right now and maybe cutting way back or shutting their doors. The Paycheck Protection Program is a loan program that has a forgivable component if the business owner does not cut their payroll from point A, which I believe is April, through to the end of June. That's the end date. So you cannot cut payroll. And if you don't cut payroll, a part of this loan will be forgiven. The EIDL loan advance, this was again, this was a loan that basically was a grant. It's $10,000 that small businesses could have access to. Here's the problem with these two things right now. One, if you don't have a relationship with a small business lender already, it's going to be really difficult for you to get priority treatment. The lenders are absolutely overwhelmed right now. There's so many people who are trying to get access to these funds, and the lenders have. I know that. Well, I'm going to back up. I'm going to make an editorial comment. These are Scott's opinions here. There's a lot of potential for fraud with these programs right now. If you look at the way the law is written, and I've done a fair amount of research over the past 2 weeks as to like the verbiage in these loans and what amounts of money people may actually get access to, it's not going to be what people think, and it's going to take a lot longer than people think. And also, and the reason is that there needs to be some oversight on this, because with the sheer volume of people applying for it and the way again, my opinions, the way that the law was written, there's very, very, very high chance of fraud with this. So, and it doesn't seem like the amount of scrutiny up front is going to be as much as there will be on the back end. So you're getting the funds, you'll qualify for the funds, you'll get the loan, but in terms of getting the loan forgiven, that is where there's going to be a much more onus on the business owner to show that they actually followed the program as it was intended. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this. SBA.gov / funding programs. It's right on the first page of they got a yellow banner on the coronavirus that says coronavirus COVID-19 relief options and additional resources. Click here. That is on SBA, S as in Sam, B as in boy, A as in Apple, Small Business Administration, SBA.gov. And that is where you need to go, and you need to work with a local lender. If you have questions on this, if you need a resource or you need to be directed somewhere, you can private message me and I will do my best to help you. All right. And I don't pretend to have all the answers. However, the name is Scot Pekarek. You can find me. And if you're watching this on Facebook, you obviously have found me already. So anyway, so that's the deal there. I want to keep reiterating what's going on, because I know a lot of people are frightened. A lot of people are confused, frustrated, and that leads to anger. And we don't need any more angry people out there. If I can help it, I will do what I can. I guess that's why, alcohol and liquor stores are essential services to pacify and sedate us in times of our frustration and anger. Sorry, I am going to joke about the liquor stores being essential services until the day I die. It is to me a little bit funny, and I know why. I wish that the powers that be would just say, "Hey, yeah, we know that alcohol isn't essential to living, but we really want people to be able to calm down and pacify folks so that people don't riot in the streets." Maybe that's not the reason, but that's the reason I'm going with today. Anyway, so a few things real estate wise, and this is I consider this to be real estate, but what's changing, what's going to change? Like it's pretty astounding. We're seeing the numbers of new listings coming on the market clearly dropping. Number of showings are way down. There's still a lot of activity in the market. And you say, well, who's going to buy a house at a time like this? Lots of people are actually still looking. So we're finding that the marketplace is still, relatively speaking, fairly robust. And I get a lot of questions from people like, do you think this is going to be like 2008? I absolutely don't think it's like 2008. This is like nothing I've ever experienced. 2008, and I made it, I survived the Great Recession in the real estate industry, and was incredibly busy. But we had the fundamentals of what happened there were so different than what's happened here. I mean, that was very irresponsible lending, very irresponsible borrowing, very irresponsible behavior by a lot of people. It wasn't just the big banks. It wasn't just the credit rating agencies. It wasn't just the investment bankers. It wasn't, mortgage. I say there are a lot of very ethical people that were caught up in this market back in 2005, 6, 7, where we're like, how do you like? I think we knew like there was something just weird going on. I remember just looking at certain properties that were selling. I'm like, how the hell can this property sell for that price? How can it appraise? And we all, I assume there was some fraudulent behavior going on at the time, but how did you stop it? And then when everything finally, when the bubble burst, I mean, it was catastrophic. However, that was a lot of industries weren't affected by that, by the real estate. I mean, in the financial industries, yes, there was credit crunch and stuff, but there were people who were largely unaffected. What's going on now affects everybody. It's like nothing I've ever experienced. And I've stated before, it's like the closest thing that for me personally was growing up on a dairy farm in the 80s and experiencing what was my whole world then crumbling as 40 to 50,000 family farms went out of business, and my family having no money for the better part of a decade. And that did traumatize me in a lot of ways, and it's changed, it influences my behavior even today. I'm trying to obviously get past it, but it's definitely did something to my psyche, very formative years, when I was 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. So this is something completely different. I know there's people who believe that this is going to result in the crash of the real estate market. Do I think it's going to have some impact? Of course, right? It's already changing how we look at homes. It's already changing how we do closings. I guarantee people are going to look at remote online notary closings, which is something I've been advertising for almost, I'd say a year now. People are going to look at that. Basically, you don't have to go to closings. People doing virtual tours of homes. In fact, I bet the headsets, the virtual headsets, that's going to become the norm by this time next year. I guarantee you that that's going to be something that's not going to be looked at as this, bunch of weirdos adopting some technology that no one's going to use. People are going to say, hey, you know what? If I can go walk through this house with a headset on in the comfort of my own home or my apartment or my office, and I can check out this house, at my computer, and if the experience can somewhat be more real than it currently is. You've got things like the Matterport tours, which are pretty good. But if you can actually almost feel like you're walking through a little bit more, if it can get to that next evolutionary step, that's going to be the norm. We're going to have less and less people doing physical showings and more virtual tours, like where people will never, who will make an offer on a home without stepping into it. And I'm kind of a cowboy. I've been doing that for, I did that a lot in back during the Great Recession when I was buying investment properties. But that was, a different story completely, because I was paying about 10% of what people are buying, paying for houses now. So that's going to change. How closings happen, that's going to change. we're already seeing mass adoption of, electronic signatures. I think these are all good things. Like, they're going to, so you can still have a personalized interaction with someone. You can still provide a very valuable service. It's just going to be a little different. So, man, that being said, Inman, JP and Associates partners with Matterport to make virtual tours. Just scanning the headlines, there's the big thing you're seeing over and over and over again is mindset, and keeping your cool, staying positive, focusing on things that you can change, having the courage to change the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That is the Serenity Prayer, or a bastardization of it by me. But that's what we say in AA. Yes, I am an alcoholic. Yes, I'm almost 5 months sober. I'm pretty excited about that. So that's a positive, right? It's for April 6th. So 9 more days, be 5 months. Boom. Love it. So that's what I've got for you today. I am going to leave you with, hold on a second. I'm going to leave you with this. I did a little passage from 12 Pillars, or no, Seasons of Life by Jim Rohn last week. And I thought it was a little weird that I was reading story time, but then I listened to it again. I'm like, that wasn't that weird. So we're going to go with it today. And, this might stick. So today, reading James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. Powerful book. This is probably $5 if you buy it on Amazon. And it's about 29 pages. And it is it is without a doubt the most powerful 29 pages I've ever read in my entire life. And I mean that with absolutely 100% conviction. This is absolutely powerful. As a Man Thinketh, James Allen. For those of you that are battling your mind daily to stay positive, get a copy of this book. It's phenomenal. So I'm just going to read from page 12. Again, this book, you can pick it up and you can open to any page and read from it, and read 2 pages, and you'll come away with power and a changed mindset. It's incredible. So I'm going to read from page 12. Good thoughts and actions can never produce bad results. Bad thoughts and actions can never produce good results. This is but saying that nothing can come from corn but corn, nothing from nettles but nettles. Men understand this law in the natural world and work with it, but few understand it in the mental and moral world, though its operation there is just as simple and undeviating. And they, therefore, do not cooperate with it. Suffering is always the effect of wrong thought in some direction. It is an indication that the individual is out of harmony with himself, with the law of his being. The sole and supreme use of suffering is to purify, to burn out all that is useless and impure. Suffering ceases for him who is pure. There could be not object in burning gold after the dross has been removed, and perfectly pure and enlightened being could not suffer. The circumstances which a man encounters with suffering are the results of his own mental inharmony. The circumstances which a man encounters with blessedness, not material possessions, is the measure of right thought. Wretchedness, not lack of material possessions, is the measure of wrong thought. A man may be cursed and rich. He may be blessed and poor. Blessedness and riches are only joined together when the riches are rightly and wisely used, and the poor man only descends into wretchedness when he regards his lot as a burden unjustly imposed. And I'll leave you with that today, folks. As a Man Thinketh, James Allen. Powerful stuff. God bless you all, and keep trucking. I will see you out there. And if you need anything, If I could be of service, please message me and I will do what I can to help you out. Have a great day. Boom. I'm out of here.